place to promote the growth of Tigres in English through analysis, discussions, interviews, and more. Welcome to the La U Times podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the La U Times podcast. Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you for tuning in tonight to what is going to be the first episode of the 2025 year. Pretty stoked. It's going to be an interesting season and hopefully a lot of great last memories with some of our elite legends that we have had over quite a bit of seasons with a lot of championship pedigree. And so we'll get into some of that tonight and discuss amongst much more things. And just want to introduce my friends again, back on the pod, fellas. Alfred, how are you doing, my friend?
Good. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Ready to get this year started. We started on the right foot, so that's good.
Absolutely. Happy to have you back and excited to be back with you, given our great and not asked for takes on our club. But Double O Nation, how you doing, my friend?
Doing good. Very, very glad to be back with you guys. Happy New Year. Happy Christmas. Happy Clausura kickoff.
Absolutely, my friend. Good to have you back. And lastly, Dennis, what's up, my friend? How are you?
Oh, I missed you guys. It's good to be back. It's good to be back with everybody. If you're watching right now, if you're listening later on podcast, thanks for being here, first of all. Y'all kind of know this about me. I'm a big structure and routine guy, and I'll tell you guys, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Ever since we last recorded, the last month or so has just been bad for me as far as that. Work has been non-existent until today or last week, and I don't know. I haven't had any sort of actual routine or schedule to start the year, so I've just been super thrown off and super off my game. So this is part of my routine. Every Monday or Tuesday night, it's okay, I'm gonna be with the boys talking about Tigres. So this is nice to get back into it. And last thing before I shut up, love to LA. I know surely we have a lot of people that we may know, or I know there's Tigres fans out there. So love to everybody in LA. If you know somebody, if you know how you can help people, because they're going through a lot right now. So just wanted to shout them out because it's tough times out there.
Absolutely. Well noted, well said. Fellas, well, we started off with a dub, started off with the loss with the Amazonas, dub on the men's side, but lots to talk about. And so we're going to get started, talk exciting Tigres news surrounding both teams, as well as, what's ahead in this new season for both squads. Double O Nation, where are we at? What's the first segment we got tonight?
All right, so we're going to kick it off with the femenil side. New year, new era for Las Amazonas. Tigres Femenil decided to turn the page and move on from Mila Martinez after the bitter taste left behind from the Apertura 2024 final. Spanish manager Pedro Martinez Loza was tapped in to lead the new era for Las Amazonas, and he secured a 3-0 victory in his first match in the manager's chair last night against Club Puebla. The goals were provided by Ovalle and Tembi. Is it too soon to say Las Amazonas are back?
I'm going to go ahead and get started. That definitely too soon. I think that the coach just coached his first game, missed out on a good amount of time during preseason. Obviously, it was a late decision that was made. Once again, I think the board let an opportunity to come out cleaner out of this and a lot more prepared for this situation if they would have made the decision immediately after. Mila Martinez got the loss along with the squad at the BBVA Stadium against Rayadas. So too soon for sure for me. I'm not sure about what you guys think, Dennis.
Yeah, too soon. I mean, that first game was tough. Can't lie. Here's the thing with Femenil for me, at least right now. I'm trying not to be too harsh on them because it's not the finished article yet, obviously. You still got new signings you got to incorporate. And let's be real, this team does not operate the same without Anico Rodriguez or without Mari Carmen Reyes. And it does concern me that we haven't really filled the the hole that Mari Carmen has left, especially since she has a longer term injury. Hopefully, Annika's back pretty soon. So it's nice to get results right now. Like yesterday's result, I thought was really strong and definitely a lot better than the first game, but definitely not gonna overanalyze anything right now because clearly we haven't seen Losa ball at its finest yet, and the team is not 100% right now in any way, shape, or form. So glad about yesterday, but let's pump the brakes about everything else.
Absolutely. Alfred, anything to add or what the
I'm gonna say too late, not too soon, too late, because I mean, it just kind of feels that we lost our identity with Mila. You know, the whole Amazonas identity was lost with Mila for a good while. You know, I'm gonna say the last year or so, and not just within the team, but also within the fan base. So the fact that Mila is now gone, I do kind of feel like Amazonas is back. Not in a sense of, you know, on the pitch or, you know, with results or us, you know, finally, you know, being the dominant team that we were over the years. Just simply that feeling that you know, now as a fan base we can kind of rally together again for the team and not be like, oh, I hope they lose or they fire Mila, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna say a little bit too late, but better late than never.
Yeah, one of the things that was super interesting to me, obviously with the coach being gone for whatever reasons that delayed his time and to arrive and train with the squad, I think that there's definitely a new, at least, attempt at playing slightly different than they were with Mila, even with Moscato prior to that. Noticed a little bit of like player shuffling, especially like how they defend versus how they attack compared to last season and, you know, the ending of Mila Martinez's tenure. So I think that, you know, at least conceptually and the plan at a very minimal level, there seems to be a sort of initiative to change a few things, and definitely players being incorporated and rotated in the first two games thus far. And so it seems like he's wanting to see what the players are made of and what they're capable of showing during the game, as well as what he's looking to implement with his new philosophy of coaching and, you know, getting to know their players.
Shout out Peter in the chat. If you're watching right now, get in the chat. Let us know what you think about Femenil.
Yeah, and share, retweet us. Let's
Following up on your comment, Arnoldo, I think it's also like, I mean, this guy, we obviously don't know him yet, but just a few little bit of interactions that he's had with the media and now also with the fan base over on Twitter, I kind of like it. I mean, with Mila, we used to get just very dry, very off the script answers to everything, and it almost felt like she had no feelings of, you know, whether it didn't matter whether she won or lost. Like, she was always smiling, and it just, you know, it kind of felt like, you know, she had no identity, you know. And I actually like the way this new coach has kind of presented himself and the way he's answering questions, because in the end, you know, our team is still the best team or the best femenil team in Mexico. So if he's coming with that attitude that, you know, he's coming to the best team in Mexico and he's going to bring us back to that place sporting wise, then I'm all for it.
He seems like he's all in. Like I can't remember which thread you shared it in, but it was the comments that he was, you know, he was kind of not clapping back, but he was like, you know, defending the team and himself on Twitter or X yesterday or the day before. Yep. I dig that. Like, absolutely. And this guy, like, he, mind you, not a ton of success, but he's coming from Europe. That's a check mark for me. And he's won trophies in Europe. That's a check mark for me. So I'm really liking what I've seen and heard from him so far. Obviously, very small sample size, but I feel a lot better about things with him at the helm already, just because of his background and just from the little bit of, hey, like he seems like he's about it. You know what I mean?
And you can also add that the two experiences that he had in Europe, being with the Swedish national team as well as the Arsenal women's team, you know, gives you a different, you know, perspective of how to manage players and having the talented players that Tigres Femenil has, I like that both experiences come with like, obviously handling lots of big personalities and a lot of like locker room leadership, but also like, the importance of like what Arsenal represents for the women's sport, as well as the national team of Sweden that he coached as well. So I think, I'm with you, Dennis. I think he fits the check marks for what a good coach can be for Tigres Femenil, and just change the entire script of what happened probably over the last year and a half, where they lost some identity with a lot of the same players and they made new additions, and ultimately, that turned out for one cup for Mila Martinez and Moscato as well. But I think that Tigres Femenil has not fully continued the momentum that it was on as it was dominating early on in the league beginnings and throughout, that ultimately led them to having a sort of like relapse of, going a little back in terms of, you had two good coaches, but with trophies won, but the identity of the team was definitely lost, and a lot of players weren't being put in the best situations so they can give us their best form.
Yeah, a little if for listeners who don't know, a little background on him as far as like his success. Scotland national team, not the
Scotland.
Swedish
I
one.
apologize. Not
No,
Sweden.
I mean, same-ish area. I mean, I don't know. It's Europe. It doesn't matter. It's Europe. I mean, it doesn't matter. 2 trophies at Arsenal: the FA Women's Cup and the WSL Cup in the 2015-2016 era, and then also he won 3 leagues with Rayo Vallecano in Spain, and also the Copa de la Reina in 2008. So mind you, the women's game wasn't like that crazy then, but I mean, 3 leagues and a Super Cup. I mean, those are trophies, right? Like, it doesn't matter when you win them; those are trophies. So
was it Arsenal where he underperformed at?
No, I think it was with the national team, and then also he went to somewhere in France, and he didn't do anything there. Like after Arsenal and before Scotland, he went to a team in France, and I can't remember which team it is, but he didn't win anything there.
Well, his still status of the coach 1 weekend after coaching still to be determined. We'll see where he takes us. Hopefully, again, back to a true way of playing and finding out a way to beat teams from the get-go, as opposed to, letting the pace of the game dictate itself and individualities take play.
I like this comment from our boy Tigres Tactics, which is Peter. That was the word I was thinking of, attitude. Like, this guy has the attitude, which Mila clearly, I mean, PE coach, right? Like, she just didn't have that. So,
yeah. Interesting though. I think the assistant, the guy that held the iPad, I think he's back. He's still part of the coaching staff.
Somebody's got to hold the iPad.
That's great. That's great. What do you think, Edgar? I mean, what do you, we have some new additions. We have Jennifer, the Brazilian that's coming, with a lot of high profile.
Also injured. I didn't know she was injured until they mentioned it on the broadcast yesterday.
Yeah. And then we have Dilari, who comes from soccer in the U.S. from college soccer. I can't think of the college that she played at.
I can't either, but recalling from speaking with Lou, it's the same university that Stephanie Ferrer came from. If that helps,
we'll have to get a quick. We'll have to get a quick Google.
I'm
search.
researching.
Yeah, of
Give me a
course.
second.
Somewhere on the East Coast, but I think they were.
And she's coming in as a possible alternative or option to play out on the wing, either on the Valle side or fill in the role on the right side, which she did come in at Volcan and made her debut.
West Virginia.
There we
go.
So West Virginia college soccer, and then Jennifer from the Brazilian league, where
from Corinthians
won some titles representing Brazil at the Olympics with the national team. So high profile. What do you guys think, or what do you think, Edgar? Do you think that these additions could be something that could put us over the top and truly get us back to the championship, or do you think that we need some more roster moves?
I think they're definitely big contributions. Jennifer specifically, just coming from South America, coming from the Olympics, bigger name in the world of soccer. Diller is a pretty good gamble. I think our scouting's been really well when it comes to university recruits. I mean, we got Mari Carmen straight out of UCLA, Mia Fischel, if I recall correctly, was straight out of UCLA. So I think they're very promising, and I really hope that they are here to contribute.
Do you think that we're going to get some more roster moves? Do you think we'll get any new addition? Or do you think when you need the Steelers going to need a new addition?
We need someone to kind of pick up or fill in the role that Mari Carmen had. But as far as it being realistic, I'm not too certain.
Yeah, we need a midfielder bad. Real bad.
Big time.
Yeah, especially because you got her out, and then Belen Cruz, who could also play if you're in a tight spot in that second, center mid attacking role, and step in with that attacking mid that it could be obviously Hermoso or Mayor. But I do agree with you guys that the mid is definitely still an area of big opportunity, and I'm not sure if any possibilities of a new addition are high. I think that sort of like how the men's have this season of like trial and error, but more on the error side on the men's. But the women's have a little bit of a trial and error since they made it to the final, and you got a new coach and you have two additions coming on to your talented squad, but you have two injuries of players who are normally in their rotation, one being a starter and one of the better at her position in the league.
Are we out of foreigner spots, or do we still have one more?
So we have Jenny, Ana Diaz, Ana Cesa, and Jennifer. So we have 4 spots. I think that we get a 5th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's like they just added.
Is it going to be Anna or Jennifer? Because we got 2 Jennifers, 2 Annas.
And Thembi.
And Thembi.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's 5. So that's 5. So then we would have to sacrifice one of them.
Unless we just get somebody Mexican for the midfield spot.
Or Mexican American.
Yeah, that has to be the way.
So you think that it's like a must to pick up somebody from the college game in the U.S. to play the position?
I mean, anybody, man. Like anybody that's got like fresh legs. Preferably, I preferably want somebody younger, but somebody who's like really solid and can fill that void, because again, it's just going to be a little bit of a struggle without Mari Carmen there. And it doesn't sound like, I doubt she's going to be back before May, which is when we really need her, right? Like for Liguilla.
No, I think she's off.
No shot. No shot. So you need somebody to fill in pretty immediately. And I don't know any names like that off the top of my head to say, oh, this girl would be a great fit. Like I just don't. So, but that's got to be resolved soon, because when it gets to those big time games at the end of the season, like you're going to get exposed if you don't have some solidity there.
Well, Nayeli Rangel got the start, and then Chata came in, finally got some decent playing time after just sitting on the bench all last season. So again, back to my point that I think he's definitely willing to try players out to see what they got and what they're willing to implement with the new philosophy of play. But I think naturally, the one player that's going to step up this season, and I think it's going to have probably her best season, is going to be Alexia Delgado. I think that she's going to be really important with Mari Carmen being out, and for the whole season. Belen Cruz obviously gets minutes there, and the other spot is a toss-up at the moment between Nayeli and La Chata. So she's got to definitely step up her game. I think that the coach will find a way to make her an important piece, because she's going to dictate a lot of the way that we play, going into that spot and filling in once the center backs open up and getting in deep to distribute the ball out of the back, as well as just being that in between passer, because she's got great movement on the ball, on and off, and she's a good passer. So I think you're gonna have to complement that with someone who is able to cover a lot of ground and be a fighting midfielder, to let Alexia be the player responsible for initiating play out of the back.
It's a lot of pressure on her. I think that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a lot of pressure on her to take over that midfield, to really be a leader. I'm gonna mention somebody that Lou would have mentioned. That he used to always comment on her possibly being placed in that part of the field. Natalia Collin. I mean, I think I don't know if Pedro maybe gives her a chance and is able to work with her, you might not have to go out and get somebody. Maybe she could fill the role.
Yeah, and I think that that's definitely a target for this season. I think that the coach has to find some playing time for Natalia Collin and find a way to, you say a lot of the pressure is going to be on Alexia this season, and the chance for her to step up. I think that this is the season for her to take that higher leap in terms of like being one of the best players in the league, because she's a national team player. When we signed her, she was like a young new addition and an up and coming player that was, having some good moments at Cruz Azul. And then, we get her and pick her up. And she's been someone that, you can tell that she's got a lot of technical ability, a lot of talent. But there was times where, she had to, have too much of the midfield to control because Mari Carmen was either too high. But that, I think that's part of or more on coaching. And so I think finding that balance for this team under Losa is going to be important for Alexia Delgado. So we'll see. Any other predictions of players who may have a good season or potentially step up and find their role as a more defined player in the starting 11?
So definitely not starting 11, but I would be curious to see if Tatiana Flores actually gets a good opportunity with the first team.
I was gonna mention that as a joke, but honestly, yeah.
I highly doubt it, but at this point, I think it's a wasted spot on the roster if she's not gonna compete for first team minutes.
What about a player like Ana Diaz?
Well, I think she showed us that she's definitely capable of filling that role as a striker. Probably better than Mayor, at least during the last couple of seasons. Mayor hasn't been just that lethal player, and Ana Diaz does have a little bit more of that. So, it all depends. Obviously, they have to win their position in the training ground, and now with also Jennifer Brazilian coming in, so there's going to be some more competition there. So, but it's good. It's good to have competition, especially up top. It's where we need them to be top notch.
Yeah, I think that she's definitely a player to look out for. And I think the other one on my list would be Jenny Hermoso. I think that, she's, flown under the radar in terms of performance. I think being a high profile and really marketable player, and then a talented, somebody that's a World Cup champion that's been on some of the best teams in the world, very decorated career. But during her time at Tigres, we've yet to see a consistent Jenny Hermoso, from the beginning to the end of the season and lead us into that, run to be a champion. So I think, being this her third season now with the squad, I think that it's a very important season that to prove to not only her team members, but also the fan base is if she's going to be the leader that we have been expecting her to be since her arrival. Alrighty, who do we got this next game, Edgar?
Good question. I did not actually write that down.
I think we have it's Atlas Thursday at 7. What is it? What's with the I saw this, but I didn't really dive into it. But I can only assume. So, is the Liga Femenil streaming some of the games now, or majority of the games?
I have no idea, but I found the game on YouTube very easily yesterday. So, I don't know.
Man,
but not through the league official website. It was definitely a legal thing. Cough, cough.
Yeah, I want to say that they're showing some of the teams on the Liga MX Femenil YouTube page, and I saw.
As long as it's the away teams, I mean, I'm cool because we already have Estrella TV for the
Yeah.
home
Fox.
games, though.
Yeah. So we're good. For sure.
Yeah, my thing with that is though, I wonder if like how many people just renounced picking up some of those games because nobody was watching them, and so now they just put them on a streaming platform where probably easier for everybody to mainstream and watch as opposed to having like different subscriptions or different ways of watching it you get. But I don't think like I said, I think the important teams are still on TV or VIX. And that's like your America, your Chivas on they got their own app, I think, but Rayadas, and then obviously Tigres has their deal with Estrella TV. But I think that's something to keep an eye for her as the season develops to see what that might lead into. If all the teams are eventually going to be for everybody to watch and build a more sustainable, I guess, vision of the league. And have everybody, from the team perspectives, dive into investing more into the league. We'll see. But I think that's something, like I said, to keep an eye for. Anything else, fellas, on the Tigres Femenil in their beginning of their season?
They better win on Thursday. You can't go 0-2 at home. I'll just say that right now. So.
Yeah. What do you think the score is going to be?
Do we remember Vatlas is any good?
I mean, we're definitely better outright.
Sure. 3-1.
3-1. Confidence. Second week of Pedro Losa coaching. We get on the scoreboard.
Presentation at home, so he needs to have a good win. Okay, I agree with Dennis. Three goals is sufficient.
Okay. Edgar?
Yeah, I'm going to say 3-0. We keep the clean sheet.
Okay. I'm going 2-0. I think a comfortable 2-0. Still some issues to consistently establish play from the beginning, obviously due to the nature of him just having very few sessions with the squad and getting to know his players. But I think a comfortable 2-0 win to keep us on a winning roll as we head into more of the season. But moving on, Edgar, what we got next segment?
I think this is one we've all been waiting for. The uncomfortable season opener rant. There's some new faces on the Tigres roster to kick off the Clausura 2025 season, but unfortunately they're not as new as we'd like. Tigres did not secure a single signing in the preseason and instead has registered Raimundo Fulgencio and Vladimir Loroña, who have returned from their loan spells. The only first-team exit we've seen is the release of Sebastián Kimmich Fierro to Club León, who is arguably a greater asset than the returning players. In addition, Samir Caetano has become a squatter in Nuevo León and shows no signs of lifting a finger to open the door and get out. What's the dilemma with the transfer season? Let's discuss.
Fierro's a bigger signing than James Rodriguez.
Dude,
I'm kidding.
That's I mean, I get it for the player that needs to play and like if he doesn't cut it there, then he's definitely probably not going to have many more chances in the league. But I can understand it. Never really got along with Paunovic. From what it seems like, he never got minutes, never really got a chance or a shot to earn his time on our squad. So I think it's the best for him, for the player. I think as a club, you really, and again, another player that, you kind of like held back because of a consequence, again, of many decisions of coaching changes and obviously respecting the legacy of the older players. But I think that we could potentially lose on a decent rotational player.
The comment.
Samir, a squatter. Yeah, that too. Well,
it was definitely the best part of your outline, Edgar.
What do you guys think? I mean, how do we feel about Sebastián Fierro departing the club?
Definitely necessary for his career, as you mentioned. He's not getting any opportunities under Paunovic for whatever his motives are. But definitely, I don't understand.
He wasn't going to.
Yeah, he wasn't going to. And I don't understand the arrogance behind Paunovic to not give him an opportunity. I think the few minutes we saw what was under Siboldi, he managed to deliver. He showed promise, but
Yeah, he just needed a few more chances. I mean, you can't make nothing of a chance if you play every 2-3 months, or you come in and play anywhere from 0 to 5 minutes. You can't really do much with that. He definitely had some games where he started, but I think it was so in between that he would get playing time that he was never in game form, never. And it's an important position, and you're replacing arguably your most technical player on the field.
Yeah, and I mean, the last time he had any significant playing time ever was when he had to come in and fill in Carioca's spot in the CONCACAF game against Columbus, and he did not, shine himself in glory at all in that game. So
yeah, he had a bad game.
It's not surprising that he's gone. To be honest, I mean, you don't want to lose your academy guys, I guess, like that, but also for him, you got to do what you got to do. So I'm not that upset about it. I mean, he was going to play, so whatever.
Yeah, but now that means more of the minutes are definitely going over to be going. But we got a new player in the middle that can potentially take some minutes and youth minutes to add on to that.
Para!
Yeah, we got a new player to fill that role.
He's the chosen one, bro. They saw how he played in Dallas, and they were like, "He's the one." Forget Chicha.
Yeah, I mean, Chicha wasn't going to get playing time, especially Fulgencio arrived or came back.
Yeah.
Well, how do we feel about Fulgencio? How do you feel about Fulgencio? Just get it out.
Guys, you guys are being light. This is supposed to be a rant.
So it's and I'll start.
I'm waiting on you. You got way more thoughts than we do.
So I'm frustrated, but more in the sense that it seems like this is the solution for Paunovic. It's he's already essentially on payroll. Let's bring him back. I'll say he's gonna give you more than you'll get out of Marcelo and Lainez, but I mean, it's not really what was on the Christmas wish list.
I mean, and even if he I don't even know if he can, and I'm not saying that it's hard to have better than, more specifically, Lainez, but I think Marcelo has some credit because the time that he did play, he contributed offensively to goals and assists, and more so goals than anything. And just the team just looks slightly more dangerous when Marcelo is able to, come in and change the pace, but on a pace that you've already established where you're most likely up. Lainez is a player that you work the entire game, and offensively gives you very little, but defensively has high work rate. So you kind of have to pick your battles there. But I think it's a terrible look on the board. It's a terrible look on the coaching staff. You have so many wingers now. You had some injuries that were, just that came to light as of today. But prior to that coming to new news, you have so many wingers that you have yet to pick out who your starters are going to be. And you spent the entire season rotating them. And, here's where I definitely could possibly defend, even if it's the sliders to Paunovic, is the fact that none of those guys really stepped up to earn that role. And so I don't agree in the way that he rotated everybody, but I think that neither of these wingers that we have are it in terms of being that superstar that we required in order to create more offensive flow and have an easier flow for Brunetta and even Nando coming out of the back in the midfield. And I think that we're just stuck with all these wingers, and then you bring back a winger who, his culture and how the type of player that he is and what he brings off the field to bring in and continue to bring in that contagious atmosphere and environment with some of the younger wingers that you already have and struggle with. That is just it's just a terrible look. However you spin it to me. And
you bring back a guy that is one of the 2 or 3 main reasons we lost the championship to America, which that's a forever stain on his career at Tigres, whether he likes it or not.
We already know what we're going to get with him, and it's not very much better than we already got. And so you might as well let the young Marcelo give it a few games 5-6 games. If he doesn't cut it, okay, I gave you your shot. You're just not. It's not going to be it. You can't be the starter. We got to figure out how we can use you in minutes, and you got to off the bench and demonstrate in those minutes that you play how to be dangerous in order to get playing time. And then who's the next guy up? Linus is your other starter, what it seems like, carrying over from last season into this season. So then you have Osiel Herrera and Antuna. One's more consistent, but also inconsistent, and this is Osiel Herrera. And then you have Antuna, who's on vacation in Monterrey, Nuevo León.
Bro, what is his hair, by the way? Bro just has like a poof just on his head. I don't even know, bro.
He has
You said, is it a toupee? Is that what you're Does it look like a toupee?
Just a poof. It's just like a hairbrush. I don't know.
All right, going back to Fulgencio, guys, and let's not forget how he dissed us when he scored that goal on us. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, but this kind of feels like bringing back a player like Quiñones, who went to America and then started dissing on us, like bringing back
Pulido,
like bringing back Luis Hernandez, who's completely has fought with everybody. It's just, I mean, what are we doing here? I think Edgar, kind of made a hint at it that it has to do with the payroll, because he's already on payroll because he was on loan. I think that's what the front office is basing all their decisions on. It's just they're saving money. They're taking care of the change. Like, come on, like this is Fulgencio is like finding a penny in the couch and considering it income. Like, come on, we're not bringing anything of value, honestly, because we already know. Yes, he can give you a spark once every 3 games. Yes, he can, potentially be a little bit better than what we have coming off the bench. But essentially, he's another inconsistent player, inconsistent winger with just a very volatile attitude and character to him, who gets red carded. And like Dennis said, I mean, he pretty much gave us the worst red card in our history just a year ago, basically. So it's, what can I say? It's very disappointing that this is how our off season went, and our front office could not get us anything worthy to celebrate.
Yeah, another letdown of transfer season. And there's a lot of divisive opinions going on as to what should be going on with the team, and it's pretty interesting to see the amount of like discontent, as well as easily available target to talk shit to about the club legends and the board and whatnot. And it just, I think Tigres is going through a time where you have to adapt to your situation and the consequences of just bad decisions, while also looking to rebuild. And we're stuck. Like we've talked about it. We're stuck transactionally. You have all these high salaries and a lot of these players who are still the better players on the squad, which are your old players. And then you have these younger guys that you promise good wages and, for their potential that at the time was, looked like a good bet or sounded like a good bet to get these players and rejuvenate the squad through Mexican players with, maybe, slight potential and even, possibilities of someone in case going to Europe, coming back from Europe. And it's just a bad time, and I think that we're learning or going through this phase in a phase where we probably haven't seen very much. Especially if you are a younger generation fan of Tigres, and Alfred and I were talking about it, and how social media has such a play and such a role in that it's just incredible, man. Because it's like I think that for the first time in a while, like going into a season, like we have no expectations, and reason being is because we have decent players in the competition that we play, and gives us a chance to finish anywhere from 3 to 6, and I think that's where we'll probably potentially fall in, and where we can go on a run. But I think that whatever we get out of this season is going to be just a memorable season, because it'll be the last chance we see some of our favorite players over the last good amount of years, have their exit. And, it just sucks that it's not going to be in the best exit. So it's almost like it's all on the players. If the players really want it, they're going to dig deep and figure out a way to win it. And, by beating and being strategic, being intelligent, being smart, and also creating the chances that, while it could be very little, but, converting them. But other than that, that's a long shot. But I think that it's going to be a fun season regardless. I think that we're going to see, like I said, some of our favorite players make their goodbye run from our squad or our club.
And unfortunately, it just feels like, that the front office or the coaching staff, that's what they're doing. They're just, they're not bringing any support, any good signings, any, valuable players to add value to the roster, just so that they can say, see, we're right. These old guys aren't it, because now they're basically leaving the whole load of the team on them, just to pull their weight and pull and try to make something of it. Which it's unfortunate. And like you said, I mean, a lot of the opinions online and across the different Tigres fan base is they're placing the blame on the players that we should be grateful for. And it's unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, we have nothing to expect out of this season. It does kind of feel like we're going back to the eras in which, if we made the playoffs, if we won the Clásico, it was a good season. Because honestly, the way things have gone, this isn't a championable team. And it's unfortunate because at the same time, we're also going into Conca, and it's another opportunity that we might waste in Conca. And it's a little bit of a vicious cycle, because if you don't get into Conca, and then if you don't get into Mundial de Clubes, then you're not able to attract these players that all these other teams that are in the Mundial de Clubes are able to attract. And so then you don't bring those players to add more value and to make a better team to be able to win those championships. And again, you're not participating, you're not in them, so you can't attract those players. So it's just a vicious cycle.
And then
they're making the bad decisions.
And then the only other option is to try to convince the player or the players with high salaries, and hopefully it works out. And then potentially get into a situation of being stuck and move players like Samir in this case.
Samir or Antunes that are just squatting.
Yeah, it's going to be, like I said, a very interesting season, because either some of these players are going to completely fall in into the category of a very dark place amongst the fans, or they're going to, rescue their time by stepping up and being a spotlight in what can be a very dull season.
What gives me the tiniest bit of hope in the midst of all the frustration that you guys have just perfectly laid out, in the midst of everybody in the league pretty much getting better. We've talked about Leon already. The neighbors, we know what they've done. Cruz Azul has been doing stuff. I mean, everybody's been doing stuff except us, literally. We haven't spent a dime. What does give me a little bit of hope is that, and based on the highlights that I saw of the game on Saturday and how he's been more upfront with the media, Guido, our wonderful captain, who I'm calling him the coach. Pauno is he's just there. He just exists. He's just on payroll, I guess. Guido's our coach. And I think of all the people, especially of all the legends, I think he's the most determined to make sure that this doesn't end as sour as possible. And so, him scoring a goal on Saturday, I know we're going to get in a second. That's a big deal, man. Yes,
symbolism.
It's like he wants this so bad to end in the best way possible. And as long as he's, taking charge of stuff and being the coach on the field, as he already has been, but even more so, and basically just kind of taking the reins for the next 6 months, then I feel like we'll be in a better place than we could be. If Pauno gets his way and does all the nonsense that he did last season, then we're just going to suck again. But with Capi at the helm, it's a different story.
This is why this episode, our first of the year, obviously being from the U.S., The Last Dance. This is the only way. It's like I said earlier. The only way is if these guys give us the best season that they possibly can at whatever level they can, and have favorable matchups in the Liguilla, as well as a little bit of luck, and we could win it. But again, that's asking for a lot of things to happen and that to occur, because how many goals do you guys think Gignac scores in his last 6 months at Tigres?
More than Ibanez.
For sure. 7 last season that he scored. How many do you think that he scores in the last 6 months?
I'll go for 6. Oh,
6.
yeah. No.
Edgar?
6.
Depends on how many minutes he gets, but I would say 8.
I'm leaning to 10. I think he gives us 10 in both competitions.
Okay, I was going to ask, are you saying just the league, or are you talking about?
Okay, yeah.
Bro, he shows out in Boca too. So yeah, give me like 9 if we're talking both.
3 of those are gonna be off of penalty kicks.
I don't. He'll have another
one free kick, and the rest are gonna be a mixture of an amazing golazo, just the Gignac way, couple headers, and then some sitters.
Yeah, bro.
You're gonna get all his bag in
his catalog
in his last season, but combined 10 goals. I think that's a safe number for me. Where you combine, both seasons and you head into the Liguilla. I think that he knows it's his last season at Tigres, and I think he's gonna give us the best season that he can. Not saying that it's gonna be the best ever, but the one that he can give, and that's why I find very amusing and not in a good way that people are really sitting here and criticizing and not understanding that we are in a bad situation because we made some bad decisions along the way.
We have bad people running our team.
And, and also a domino effect, right? That was started by Pio Herrera, and then eventually, Diego Coca, Chima Ruiz, Siboldi, Paunovic, back-to-back finals with Siboldi, obviously, change in perspective amongst the board. So I think it's a consequence of a lot of things and a lot of variables that at each moment were a turning point for another bad decision that happened after each other until Siboldi got us that championship on that Cordoba run. So it's really, like I said, amusing that people don't see that and they find it easier to blame a 39-year-old who literally is the reason why there's even a percentage of you asking and demanding for better results and better success from our club, because he has given you that choice and right by definition to demand our club, because he gave us all that success and made our team relevant to where we're talking so much about them.
He's not just so important to our team, he's so important to our league. Like the reason why we're seeing James Rodriguez come to León, the reason why we saw, Rayados bring in Canales, the reason why we saw Paulinho come in, like all these players, they're following in the footsteps of Gignac. And we have to say that that's literally what it is. So all the teams are trying to duplicate, what Tigres was able to accomplish with Gignac. So that just says it all. And the fact that we have, part of the fan base that, just wants to discredit him like that and just discard him and kind of forget everything that he's done for us. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like I always say when it comes to life, leave places better than you found it. In Gignac's case, he's definitely left the club way better than he found it. Not that it was in a bad place per se, but he's taken us to extraordinary heights. And like you just hit at, Alfred, like these signings of like big name players is not by accident. It's because of him, and he's leaving the league better than when he came in because
Yeah.
the league is able to attract players like James Rodriguez nowadays. Like I don't think we would have thought that he was ever going to come to our league until after Guignac came. Like I just don't think anybody would have ever thought that 10 years ago.
Yeah, and then the formula also, right? You bring in one super talented player and then you build around him by signing other talented players. I think that majority of these teams have strived for that, and some have accomplished, that target of forming really good teams and high caliber and high profile players on these teams. So I think that, we have a lot to be grateful for. And I think that there's definitely a disconnect where you can definitely be upset at what's going on, but blaming him and saying he should retire. Like, why should he retire? Like, he signed a 1-year deal that, he was on, the first part of this last season. Now he's going into his next 6 months. Like, why is he just going to retire? Like, he wants his last chance. The team is not going to re-sign him. Like, that's very evident and clear that he's definitely not going to get re-signed. And most likely he knows that he doesn't even want to resign. And just like Guido Pizarro is looking to retire at the age of 34, and Nahuel Guzman now being scouted by Boca Juniors, and, people saying that he's no longer, what he used to be. Of course he's not. Like, none of them are, but there's still some of the better players on the squad, and they still are part of our team. And so you got to utilize them and to have the best chance at winning. And the other guys don't give you those chances. It's been clear. And I think that all that said, it just, there has to be an understanding that they're going through a situation where they know that it's their last months being, those players or that important piece of a championship club that they were for Tigres, and somebody else has to step up, whether that's through some of the players on the current squad or some of the new signings that potentially could land after you free up those foreign spots and those salaries, and potentially, sign big time players from the European League. But also, they're against the wall because of what Alfred said. Ultimately, not playing in these competitions and not participating in them it's going to set you back in terms of being a point of attraction. And then you're going to have to go back to what I mentioned, is just throwing lots of money and high wages at them, where you can be in a bad situation if it doesn't work out.
Yep.
Can I ask a historical question? Which Conca loss from the last 2 years you think hurts more looking back on it, as far as like, oh, we could have won that last year or 2 years ago?
2.
Leon?
Yeah.
For sure. 2 years ago. We were in the semifinal and we would have beat the brakes off that LAFC team in the final.
But I also don't think that we win the championship if we advance on the Leon.
Correct. Yeah.
I think they had to dig deep for that last part in that last run. And everything about that run was very, like, they talk about over here in the NFL and, the script. It was very scripted. The way that those matches went, the moments, the momentum changes, the coaching, like, emphasis and like direction and management by Siboldi, like, everything was so Cinderella scripted that you just knew that once that final whistle, especially after that third Pizarro goal, that, in extra time that got us the championship and secured it. I think that, there couldn't have been a better way to write that. There was just so many important pieces that took emphasis in having that championship go. And I think that doesn't complete unless we lose to Leon, which we did.
Agreed.
It's an emotional championship, a very, very player invested through high emotions of what their season was. And the documentary tells it all. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, absolutely, definitely, 100% recommend that. And it's a great, moment to really reflect on what really happened that season from a player perspective, as well as, like, your own perception of what you get about watching that document, and your passion that you have with the club. Is just, it brings you closer for sure. And so I think that, it would do justice to understand the situation is not necessarily on the players, but I mentioned, a bad, addition of bad consequences of terrible decisions along the way over the last 4 years.
I've been waiting for you, Edgar. Threedgar. Best sports documentary ever. I don't disagree.
That's good. What else we got? We got the recap for this. Anybody watch the game? 3-0, 3-1. 3-1 victory in San Luis. We needed those goals in the Liguilla.
Yeah, we did. Talk us through it, Edgar.
Alrighty, San Luis versus Tigres recap. Tigres found the goals that they misplaced in last year's Liguilla and were able to hit Atlético San Luis on their home soil and started the season by securing 3 points. The scoreboard was surprisingly open by Diego Lainez in the 15th minute of the match, but the lead was disrupted as the first half was nearing a close, with Salles Lamange equalizing in the 44th minute. In the second half, our South American talent shined as the captain scored the second goal in the 58th minute, and Nando Gorriarán closed the curtain with a beautiful goal in the 86th. Will the team repeat the result at home? Let's discuss.
And
I'm going to point out you missed something.
What is that?
Red card on San Luis.
Oh,
right.
I
yeah,
think that was
true.
a big factor in the game.
True.
Yeah, absolutely.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Lainez keeps his scholarship, just like Arnaldo said the other night on Twitter.
And he's ahead of Tuna on the scoreboard.
Can we acknowledge that Nando Gorriarán gets a banger each season for the
Bro.
last 3 seasons?
Yeah.
Bro.
That was perfect. The volley, the timing, the amount of power, contact, that he made on the ball, truly impressive. He's now known for scoring bangers, at least once or two a season.
Yeah.
And it looks like that's the candidate. That might be the best goal of the season for Tigres, because he's won a couple of them now for them. I don't know if he's won the last 2, but he definitely won another 2 with the goal last season at Pumas out in Seoul. Just incredible. Nando Gorriarán has incredible technique, and I think that's an underutilized weapon that Tigres hasn't been able to exploit since he's arrived. He's a great long-distance shooter. He's got a cannon. So, wanted to acknowledge that as part of Edgar's introduction to this segment. But what do we think? Talk to me about the game, a little bit of what your thoughts were on the lineup, Alfred, and some of the distribution of play that happened by Mr. All-Star himself, Belko Paunovic, with our current squad.
I don't know. I want to pass this to Dennis, because I actually happened to be flying and just barely landed when the game had started.
Dude,
so
you're asking the wrong guy. I was at work, so I only caught
man.
bits and pieces.
Did somebody watch this game?
I watched
you know
highlights.
what?
I didn't get to watch the whole game.
Podcast is ending. Thanks, guys. No. I mean, what can we say? I mean, the lineup, we had seen it, in the days prior, and we had complained about it. Ibanez is my main upset at top. I mean, because obviously, we could talk about the wingers, but those are really like, coin flips up in the air. It could have gone for anyone. It could have gone for Antuna. It could have gone for Ociel, for Marcelo, for Fulgencio, for Lainez. It happened to be Lainez and Marcelo this time. Marcelo had a really bad game. Lainez was okay. And if you would have brought in any of the other guys, we would have been saying the same thing. And we would have been saying, oh, it should have been Marcelo in, or it should have been, somebody else in. It's the same, pretty much is the same soap opera as last year. But up top, at the striker position, why are we still doing this? Why? Sure, there's people out there that still believe in Ibanez, right?
Shout out Lou.
Right?
It's
But,
good.
and you can call me a hater, right? You can call me a hater, but
You're a
haters were
hater.
right. Good call by the haters. I knew he wasn't going to score, and he didn't. Not just that he didn't score, but he really wasn't relevant in the game at all.
Edgar, did you get a chance to watch the game?
Not the full 90 minutes through. I saw the first 45. I didn't get to see the last bit of the second half.
Yeah, I watched it out on the golf course. I was golfing and trying to stay focused and watching the game. That was challenging within itself, but I was able to see good chunks of the game while I was out there. And I'll tell you my initial thoughts. First, want to acknowledge what Alfred said. Nico Ibanez, another chance, another missed opportunity. Diego Lainez got lucky on that possession to score the goal. Had probably at best a whole collection of probably 10 to 15 good minutes throughout the whole game.
So are you claiming Joaquin as the goal scorer for that one?
I mean, he basically set him up like very nicely on accident.
Yep.
I think that Nando obviously scoring a goal. Nando's doing Nando things. Osiel Herrera came on very little. I think the only standout, Nahuel Guzman eating that goal and, contributing in that mistake and error to the scoreboard. I think the only thing that probably stands out to me and deserves some acknowledgement is Chuy Garza. And, Edgar brought it up and I was saving to talk about it. I like the Chuy Garza. First of all, now we know that he crosses better than all the wingers combined.
Facts, bro.
And it's been proven by. You remember when he sent that cross to Gignac at Santos off that header?
Yeah, bro. Right before Leagues Cup, dime.
Yesterday, not right-footed because that's his strong foot. Left-footed, dime,
bro.
For Guido Pizarro.
We haven't seen a cross like that since Osby at the Clásico Regio in San Antonio.
Bro, I haven't really seen a cross or an assist on a good from like a left back since like early on Torres Nilo. Like, when we were like dominating with like the Cuatro Fantásticos.
Angulo had a couple of good crosses.
Yeah, well. But he's not like known for like.
Yeah, he's not consistent.
I see Angulo more of as a guy that comes out of the back and like if he rips it and Rick and ricochet in, whether on his own accord or he creates like some sort of like shot to where somebody just has to push the ball in. Ultimately, I just don't see him as. But Chuy Garza gives you that length, that like you and that almost like 3-point range ability in NBA terms. To have good crosses and get good involvement on the play because he can tuck in the middle and be more involved in like 1-2s than Angulo is, and it's much more cleaner. He's good with both feet. I think obviously the part that he always has to work on and we all have identified and we talked about it is defensively. I think he could get better, but I think this could be a season, especially deciding whether Carioca is going to be regular starting minutes or you're going to keep Pizarro as a starter and, roll the dice with Diego Reyes. Maybe Angulo gets a shot at the left center back position. You got Joaquin and Diego Reyes or Joaquin and Jesus Angulo with Aquino and Chuy Garza. So I think that we can see some combinations there if Chuy Garza steps up and fights for a spot at that left back spot or that right back spot at times, when Aquino could possibly need the rotation, especially with 2 tournaments coming up.
Yeah, that's the play, right? Like I know we've been beating this drum feels like forever, but like that's what you do. You make Chuy the left back and you move Angulo to a more central role because he's just a better defender anyway. He's not an offensive fullback and never has been, probably never will be, minus that one goal he had in that Liguilla a couple seasons ago. And that way you have depth in the midfield because that's been the struggle, right? Is that outside of Carioca and Gorriarán, the drop-off between those two and Vigon is pretty steep. If you have Pizarro into that mix, right, and you put Angulo there next to Joaquin in central defense, then you have some more stability in the middle of the park.
So. And you add on the fact that you get faster in the back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now you have 3, potentially 4 players that you can probably bet on speed-wise to keep up with whatever player is going at them. And that's Joaquin, whether against a number 9 or a winger where you have Chuy Garza and Aquino out wide, and then even a quick 10 or a quick, second forward that Angulo can also cover. So I think that gives you flexibility, whether Paunovic will be attentive to this and listen to the La U Times podcast and all the great advice that we have and unsolicited takes that we give out that could be beneficial to the running of our team. I hope you're listening, Paunovic, because we got the answer for you.
You need to go back with your boy Glenn and say that, so that way Glenn can relay it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, shout out to my guy Glenn at ESPN Houston, doing his Soccer Matters show. Dude's he's an excellent source of soccer information. Dude's an incredible person. Shout out to him.
Last, can I keep going on this Chewy bit for a second, because I got some stuff. Obviously, Fat Mob, as we know, is not gospel, but the last few games that Chewy has started, obviously Saturday, played 90 minutes, assists, was the highest rated Tigres player, 8.7. The last match he started before that was against Tijuana last season, 7.3, which is in the green. Play the full 90 minutes.
What match day was that?
That was, I can't remember, but it was Ibanez scored, Bruneta scored, Marcelo scored. It was away. It was like towards the end of the season. It was on that like decent run we had at the end of the regular season.
Here, I'm gonna look it up because I'm curious to see what you're gonna say before that as to when he got playing time again.
Before then was against Juarez on September 22nd. So that Tijuana game was November 1st. September 22nd was last time he started, and he was a 7.2, also in the green. Before that, it was against Puebla in Leagues Cup, 7.5. Before that was that Santos game where he was also man of the match, 8.8. Okay, when he starts, he's good.
Give me the months. Give me the months of those first couple of games. So give me the months in order of the amount of starts that he got.
Okay, so the Santos game was July 20th. The Puebla game was July 31st. His next start was September 22nd. He got
hurt in between that time.
Yes. His next start was November 1st. His next start was 2 days ago.
September, November, and January.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's the one bad thing about Chuy Garza, though. Every season he gets hurt.
Yeah. Not sustainable, not strong enough physically, you think?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't hurt after that Tijuana game, though. That's what's curious, is that maybe we could have used him at the end of the season a little bit more.
Yeah, but he didn't get no playing time, and so his form is not game match. So it's tough to bring him in and fill in a role, especially when you have Angulo and Aquino, who, for the most part, for most games, do anywhere from like okay to good.
Yeah. We were having a very good stretch of Angulo games during that whole time period.
That's true. Yeah.
It wasn't until like the very last game where he crashed and burned. But before that, we were even considering Angulo like, hey, he's really, turned the ship around. He's contributing. He's not made any mistakes. And then old Angulo showed up again.
You had him as one of the top 4 players right of the season. I think, he was in the conversation for some of us as well. Yeah. No, I agree with you. So we think Chuy Garza can step up. Do we think that he makes a jump this season?
I hope so. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I sure hope so.
This is his chance.
Yeah. And so, again, goes back to what we've talked about as well. Like, there's certain players this season that are on our radar on the fan side in terms of what they can really bring to this club. And I think that he's one of them. I think for some people, Diego Lainez can probably match that description. Not for me. Cordova, I think, is another player that has to demonstrate that he's a player in the position to be a regular rotational player. Whether that's starting or coming off the bench in an important role and filling good rotation matches in the Conca. I think he's a player to also look out for. And I think up top, right? Like, I think that Nico Ibanez, for me, has already demonstrated that he's not going to fill in that role. And having Gignac there is like, how are we going to get that goal scoring production? So I think overall, the whole offensive side, except Gignac, has to step up this season and give the best version of themselves in order for us to be competitive and, in some very long shot, be a contender for the championship.
Hopefully, Gignac starts on Friday. Maybe the bit apparently is he's going to start all the home games. I'm just speculating. There's no validity to this. I don't know. I'm just spewing stuff at this point. So,
and I think that's a good start. I think you get him to start inauguración, kick off the new season, celebrate the whole traditional ceremony at El Volcán to begin the season, and you give him the start, and hopefully he has a good game. But I'm with you. I don't think intentionally that's going to be the case. I think it's just going to be obviously a transition for him to take a even more minimal role this season, and I think that some may like it and some may not. Whether Nico Ibanez is going to be the regular starter or considered the regular starter for us this season.
God help us all.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if he tries to plug Ociel back in up top. But I'd be willing to try that over just kind of seeing Nico flop or disappoint me multiple times this season.
Yeah.
If it wasn't because Joaquim is a beast on 1v1s and like literally nobody passes him in the back, I would not be opposed to having Joaquim as a striker.
And be a new Palmera up there. Bro, dude, how many chances
He's got like 3 headers.
Bro, he's been so close to scoring a goal for us on a set piece. And he's like, dude, he's like Jordan. Like how everybody he was back in the day. He's just dunking on everybody. And he just has to capitalize. He's bound to get 1, if not 2 goals this season off of a corner or a set piece. I'm calling that right now.
I'll say 3.
3. Okay.
3 goals for Joaquim.
Yeah. Shout out Joaquim, man. He's good. Shout out Peter too for initially making the scout and determination that he was going to be an excellent signing for us. And here we are, fast forward after 5 months, Joaquim is probably a top 3 player on our squad. Without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, we talked about Gignac coming off the bench. Any other thing that stood out? Edgar from Houston, Threedger, is saying San Luis dominance in the first half before the goal. Definitely can agree with that. You saw a lot of rustiness. Luke called it earlier on in the day, saying that they worked over the span of the preseason, like 80% of the time they did strength and conditioning as opposed to actual soccer and activities on the field.
And it was very obvious.
And so I think that how many weeks do we think that the squad finally finds a groove? Or do we even find a groove this season?
What do you mean by groove? Like playing well?
Yes.
Well, first I think the first question you have to find an answer to is how many weeks until Pauno figures out what he's playing?
That's what I'm saying. Is that even going to be something to consider? Are we just
right? So then, what groove do we expect the players to get into?
So
we're talking about going back to like just individualistic, performances, because that could happen at any time.
Anytime. Dennis, do you foresee the team picking up a groove and playing well this season? Or do you think that we're just going to case by case, match by match, figure out a way with individualities like Alfred is saying?
I mean, that's probably what's going to happen. But if there ever is a time to get in a groove, it'll be when Conca starts back up, just because you'll have 2 games a week and that will just naturally happen, or 2 games a week to a degree. So hopefully, I will say this. I wanted to wait to say this till later, but I guess I'll say it now. This kind of makes sense. That's why a win on Saturday was so important, because even when we weren't playing at our best, and even when we haven't really kicked the ball apparently all off season, it's nice to get 3 points. It's nice to get 3 points now, so that way you have that in your back pocket for later and have a little bit of leeway as the season goes on.
Yeah, but I mean, San Luis with 10 players.
Sure.
San Luis that apparently, lost good players, or is one of the teams that didn't get better, got worse. So it's still San Luisito. Technically, this is a winnable match. Like,
Yeah,
have we gone back to the times where we're gonna celebrate beating
No,
San
we're not.
Luis and players?
No, definitely not celebrate. This is definitely a match on the calendar that you're expected to win.
yeah.
Exactly. It's
You
just
flopped last season against them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But it's marked as definitely a win that you got to win.
marked as a win. And if they have 10 players, most definitely. Like, if we wouldn't have won this game, I would have been pissed.
You were fuera Pauno already.
Oh yeah, no
Yeah.
doubt.
But knowing him and knowing what we know now about what happened the last few weeks is like, okay, well, at least they were still able to string together a result despite, not working.
Yeah,
on
the result's the only important part here.
Yeah.
'cause
Exactly.
You
And
gotta
that's what it is all right now until
you gotta have the best positive results. I know America demonstrated that it doesn't matter where you end up in the liguilla, just like
The
Tigres has
standings.
also demonstrated that in the past. But I think
well, and
that
with them
for
the
our
other day,
case-
it was like, well, we're just gonna bring kids and still get a result.
But for
that
our
was wrong.
case, I think that we are in a position, our club is in a position that you need to gather as many wins as possible.
Yep, absolutely.
So I can
I'll say one
definitely-
more positive. This one I actually, I want to give props to Pauno. Bringing in Parra. Like, it took him several weeks into last season before he actually considered youth minutes. So, what he get, like, I think like maybe 6 minutes, 7, something like that.
It came on in the 89th. So
80, I think it was 87th. I think it was
So only-
87th minute, and then they added some, or
only
Not
3
sure.
minutes count towards the youth minutes, though.
yeah.
was it only up until 90?
Yeah, up until 90.
Nothing. Okay.
So
Alright,
the only contributions we got was that little bit from him plus a percentage of Chewy and a percentage of Marcelo.
And Ociel?
Right.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. But Ociel didn't play that much either.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
low percentages. So I don't even count them as possible, like where we're in a scenario and I don't think they're gonna be relevant. I think this season more important than last season because those minutes were still a little higher in percentage and contribution to where you were able to squeeze like a little bit past a quarter, if not half, the amount of minutes that you needed through the accumulation of Tapia, Ociel. Tapia's another guy that's going to contribute. Marcelo, Chuy Garza, and Chicha Sanchez. I think now the minutes have to come specifically this season from Bernardo Parra's contribution.
Not just that, but let's remember that a third of Chicha Sanchez minutes were contributed through Selección, not through Tigres.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and I don't think you're going to have that this time around. So you need pure youth minutes.
Yeah, and like I said, more if you're going to start off with this guy being the guy that you're going to use, like this guy has to play at least 30 to 40 minutes if possible, like every couple of games.
Well,
If
and
not
with
more.
Parra,
Give
too,
them
it's
10
like-
minutes each game.
Yeah, that too.
with Parra, it's like, let's see what he can even offer too. It's like,
Right.
if we don't have that crazy midfield depth, then like let's see if he turns out to be something. Like obviously my expectations are not super high, but like if he turns out to be somebody that we can rely on, that's going to help out a lot of our midfield depth issues.
It was just 5 minutes, but I saw some positives. He didn't look nervous. He got the ball a few times, passed it back, side passes, and just seemed comfortable on the field. And I mentioned on our chat group, I mean, he's got good stature. Like that's something that usually we don't get out of youth players.
You can't teach height.
Yeah, he's got height.
Sure. He's big. Shout out Albert in the chat saying,
What's up, my friend? How are you? Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year. Indeed.
Yeah, I think that's also another aspect to look out for this season and to really pay attention throughout the development and how Pauno handles that and who's going to be the player. Like Dennis is also bringing up, like we'll see if Bernardo Parra is the guy. So far, he's been identified as the guy that's going to contribute the youth minutes. Chicha Sanchez is injured and is out. as well as Marcelo Flores. So there goes two players that provide youth minutes that you're not going to count on, even though having lower percentages of contribution to the overall target. And so also maybe figuring out a way if you can identify maybe a right back or another left back that can also contribute some minutes there. You got Tapia that potentially could start some games, especially if you're going to rotate with Conca and give some leagues games to Tapia. So, but again, the importance of actually using a youth minutes player that's going to give you 100% of the minutes in ways that help you. Maybe even a forward, right? Like a guy that can even step up and play that forward, that number 9 position. If Gignac or Ibanez gets hurt, the rotations happen, and somebody needs to play on the bench and comes in and gives you some minutes. I think that's all in play this season. I think that if you're not gonna fight, per se for the number 1, number 2 contender of the league, I think you have to find other things that you can work out while also looking to get the 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th spot in the Liguilla.
Correct.
Agree.
And it all starts with a home game against Mazapan on Friday.
Bro, let's put some respect on these lower teams that we lost to or we barely beat last season.
I wish Marcelo would be playing because last year against Mazatlan at home, only because I remember because I was there, he was spectacular. That was also the last time Samir did anything good for this team.
And it's also
when he scored.
The time that he made a mistake was against Mazatlan as well, where he lost. Or was that another match? I think it was that match. I may be wrong.
It was that or the Querétaro match. One of the two.
Yeah, I think I'm off. But anyway,
is Bucetich still the coach for Mazatlan?
Yeah,
Bucetich.
Bucetich is the coach.
The legend.
What do we think, Edgar? What do you think? Think we pull off a dub at home, inauguración?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a 3-0 easy, or maybe not easy, but realistically, that's what the result should be. But I'll say 2-0, 3-0.
Okay.
Against the Bucebus? 1-0. Barely.
I'm going 2-1.
I'm going to go, 2-1. I was going to say 2-0, but I think I like 2-1. It's not going to be a fun watch. I would like to see some changes here and there. Like we just mentioned Tapia. Like, let's throw him in there. Why not? Angulo should be back. Ladi said on his video that, 95% of it is just nonsense or doesn't matter. He did say that Angulo was in training today, full participant. So I would imagine that he's going to slot right back into his normal spot.
Carioca's probably going to be out.
Yeah. So Guido and Ngori will probably stay as the midfield. I hope that Gignac starts. I hope Cordova starts with Bruneta.
You're going to see Antuna?
No, well, you definitely Marcelo's not starting for sure. So who comes in to replace for Marcelo?
Cordova, bro, please.
Cordova.
Yeah, we want Cordova. We want Cordova, but who are we getting? Are we getting Ociel or are we getting Antuna?
No, it's going to be Cordova. I don't think we ever saw Antuna play in the left field. If it wasn't for like
he's gonna
small
play
amount of minutes.
Fulgencio. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
That was something else that I wanted to point out. He played Linus on the right side as opposed to the left side. So what's going on there is because he could easily move Linus to the left side and bring our boy Tuna Sandwich in.
No, they played both. They were interchanging, him and Marcelo.
Yeah,
but I think that I didn't see that initial indication last season. I think Linus was instructed to be more on the left side.
Yeah,
and being on the right side, I think he has some good, moments.
He's better on the right side. He's always been better on the right side to me, and Marcelo's always been better off the left.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I don't necessarily agree with the Linus being better at something, but
no, yeah, no, I know what you mean.
So Treitger would bring in Fulgencio instead of Cordova.
I have a disappointing update. So there's some L3 nonsense going on this week.
Oh, I forgot about that
Oh,
stupidity.
Fulgencio.
Not
Yeah.
be playing.
Fulgencio
Elstree.
and Tapia are there.
Okay, so now we'll start. Angulo's not going to that anymore because he was called up for that, but now he's not. So
But don't we want Chuy Garza starting though?
I would, yeah, absolutely.
So
I would.
that means-
Start,
I
I would
think
start.
he's
Chuy.
going through some personal issues, so probably mentally he's not even 100% there. So I would bet on Chuy Garza to start again.
Yeah.
I would love
I
that.
like that too. So the whole back line stays the same,
Yes.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
along with Nahuel Guzman. We're saying Nando Gorriaran and Guido Pizarro start because Carioca participated in practice but not fully. And then that means that we get Linus because he scored a goal, so he got a little more scholarship fund.
Scholarship.
And then we got Brunetta.
Either
who I think-
Antuna or Cordova.
Yep.
Please, Cordova, bro.
I
Please.
think Gignac starts. I think that's a no-brainer for me. Brunetta starts because from a business perspective, you gotta use the high expensive player as opposed to the cheaper Mexican player that can play there. So
Yeah, he was
Cordova-
decent. He was decent over the weekend, by the way. I don't
Cordova
know
or
who he was.
tuna sandwich, inconsistency or no game at all.
Sebastian, please.
Please.
Okay.
CEO.
I expect Cordova to start at the right wing position. If not, I'm going to be very, very critical of you guys. Just nonchalant sending our boy Tuna Sandwich over to the shadow realm.
Hey, I mean, okay, so Arnoldo, let's stop joking around here, okay? So you're putting your money on Antuna? Is that what's going on here?
I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be surprised at this point, bro. Like, this man demonstrated all last season. Do I want the man to start? Absolutely not. I'm just not going to get my hopes up because ideally I would want Sebastian Cordova to start because the very best 10 minutes of Sebastian Cordova are like 1,000% better than Antuna's full game. And so it's not that I don't want Sebastian Cordova to start. I would love for Sebastian Cordova to start because him and I have some potential beef that we're going to have to hash out because I think that if he doesn't demonstrate, again, like I mentioned earlier, the full capability of being a highly rotational player, an important player on our squad, not maybe top 11, but definitely top 13 in terms of importance and getting playing time for our squad, then I'm just going to cast him to the side in terms of what I expect and the expectations that I have for him to be on our squad. I think he gave us a great moment in the run for the championship, but I think since then it's been highly inconsistent. I gave him the benefit of the doubt with the coaching changes, and this season is the season to prove to me and the rest of the potential Sebastian Cordova haters that are forming.
You switched it around on me. The question was Antuna.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you what I want.
Started renting on Cordova. This is what I'm saying.
I'm telling you what
Antuna?
I'm telling you what I want, but I'm just setting the scenario for a possibility that Tuna Sandwich is going to be the starter.
All right, but so again, let's
He
forget
started
about
a
Cordova.
playoff game, Alfred.
Let's forget about Cordova. Let's forget about Cordova. Well, I mean, what's the expectation on Tuna?
For me, like truthfully and
Is
honestly,
there no expectation on Tuna on this guy that we just dished out $8 million on?
no, he's not cut out for Tigres.
So he's just gonna be another Samir then.
Yeah, he's just gonna be a guy that you're gonna have to include in the lineup because he's got a high salary and you paid, so you got to give him from a business perspective the chance. Now, I'm not saying I agree with it.
I'm gonna have to call you out. On our group chat.
Yeah,
you made a take. You said that Tuna was gonna have
4
how many
assists.
assists?
4.
So how's he gonna have 4 assists if he's gonna be riding the bench?
He's gonna start some games though. He's gonna be a player like under Paunovic's hand to start and come off the bench in some games for Tigres this season.
All right,
And I would say like a
I
high
don't have
amount.
stats at hand, but who was the last player that gave us 4 assists in a season?
Luis Quiñones, shout out my boy Luisao, El Rey or Rey.
Hooray! Still getting
So like
airtime
last
on this
season,
pod.
did we have anybody give us more than 3 assists?
I think Angulo had 3. Not Brunetta actually.
It was like Angulo.
Hold on,
I
I'm on it.
think-
I'm on it. Give me a sec. Give me just a second.
Linus might have made that cut too.
Apertura.
What
come
I'm
on.
trying to say is like making a claim that Antuna is going to give us 4 assists. That's like saying he's going to be
Bro,
our.
there's two tournaments going on.
Oh, so you're saying between 2 tournaments?
Yeah, the whole season.
Oh.
That
Bro, that's very low. Four
Yeah.
assists
Oh,
is
okay,
trash.
okay.
Four
Alright.
assists is trash. I'm
Okay.
saying I would love for Cordova to start because I believe more in his technical ability. I just think he has to find consistency in being a highly rotational player. I don't care if you're not the starter, but I want you to be the sixth man.
Yeah.
And I want, Antuna to be casted to the side, but I know that's not going to happen because you just signed the player. So he has a little bit more room in terms of like transaction to where you are going to have to play him because you got to give him the benefit of the doubt as a coach that he can potentially give you something.
Sebastian had
Dennis.
4. Linus
Who?
had Sebastian Cordova.
Okay.
Linus had 3.
Angulo had 3.
Angulo had 3.
Bruneta 1 or 2.
Brunetta had 2.
Yeah. very low.
Chewy has 2 if we're counting this season and last. And Joaquim also has 2.
Right.
Out here.
Hey,
See?
I'm gonna make a take. Here's a take.
Bro, you've been making takes all night. What's new?
All right,
Your Twitter handle is called Tigres Takes.
Joaquin. All right, Joaquin. He's gonna score. I predict he's gonna give us 3 goals. Right? He's
Yeah.
gonna score more header goals than Ibanez this season.
Oof.
That's my take.
Lou, where are you? Lou,
I'm not talking about like foot goals, left foot, right foot. No, I'm talking about header goals. He's gonna give us more header goals than Ibanez.
I mean, is Ibanez even going to give us 1? One
That's
good
a
header.
possibility.
not with the crosses he gets.
How many goals do you think Nicolas Ibanez is going to score in the next 6 months in both tournaments?
2.
4.
I'm going 5.
3.
5. Yeah, with Conca triggered.
3.
Both tournaments, 6 months. How many goals is Nico Ibanez?
I mean, if they pad the stats in against Real Estelí, scoring 6-7 goals out there, and
No
Ibanez
manches
gets
Alfred. We
through,
can't
and-
even score 1 on San Luis, bro.
I'm just saying, like that's the only like possibility where we could actually, pad some stats. But yeah, I don't, because you guys keep counting Conca. I
That's part of
I
the
don't want
6
to add
months.
Conca to like the stats.
Yeah, they're playing. They're playing in both tournaments. You got to count both goals and assists.
Okay.
If one's chosen to be a rotational player in one of the tournament or the other, like you got to respect their playing field.
Right. Okay. I'll still keep my take. Joaquin scores more headers than Ibanez this season.
Okay. I'm gonna lean more to the believer side and 5 goals in both, which is terrible, but 5 goals for Nicolas Ibanez, and I'm gonna stick with my 4 assists for tuna sandwich in 6 months. And I think that Linus
So he's going to
surprisingly,
be our best assister.
yeah, surprisingly is gonna have the most assists.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, he's gonna add to the scholarship fund.
Ay, Dios mío.
You know what's happening? We're gonna get stuck with some more of these players. I'm telling you, it's happening.
MLS, where you at? Come take some of these bums off our team.
The problem is that the people that are calling this man a bum is gonna be the one that they take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll be seeing Andre Pierre in the MLS for a year.
Bro, especially now that Boanga's out of LA, now that he's probably going back to France, which since he rejected us.
And
he may be pairing up with Giroud.
and the chances of us playing Andre Pierre Gignac in the Leagues Cup is gonna be very high. I'm calling it right now.
Uh-huh. Well, depending on what that
Alfred, it's
competition's
happening,
gonna look
Alfred.
like.
It's
Depending
happening,
on what it
Alfred.
looks like. So we
I'm
don't know
gonna
what
cry.
that dumb league
Tigres,
is gonna look like.
Tigres is gonna play the next team of Andre Pierre Gignac in the League Cup. I'm calling it right now.
Script writers, where you at? Script
I'm,
writers.
I'm hiring the ghostwriters for the script.
There you go. As one should.
Okay, what else we got? Let's about to finish off this pod.
Hold on before we get to the last bit. Our next few games, just looking ahead. Mazapan Friday. Next week we play at Chivas. Hopefully we don't get a ley de X from Pulido. And then we start our 2 games a week because the following Tuesday we play Cholos and then Toluca away, and then Conca starts the following Wednesday against Esteli. There.
Good. We miss football.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna make corajes this season, or are we coasting?
Guaranteed corajes. I'm gonna get pissed off with one random lineup.
I think
I'm gonna
my
make corajes with just some of our Twitter friends.
Oh, hold on. Woodsy! Woodsy!
It makes
I've been waiting for you, dog. Where you been?
Oh my
I
god!
love that guy.
I hope for the sake of our club that is true this season.
Bro, come join the show, bro. Where you at?
I again low expectations, positive results. I'm coasting this season. I don't think I'm gonna experience corajes. I know what I'm getting into. I'm just enjoying it. I'm enjoying the last dance.
I'm with you, bro.
I'm gonna try to be as many games as possible in the next 6 months for Tigres
Same.
in Monterrey. I'm gonna see the Gignac farewell tour as well as Cariocas and Pizarros and potentially Noel.
The last
That is-
dance.
Yeah.
And that is it, fellas. That's all she wrote. Last part of the segment or last part of the pod from the vault moment. Oof. The last-
Right.
Go ahead, brother.
So last Adidas white kit before this one, because this is the newest edition. Remembering the last white kit came out in 2020, 2021. And it is, I think, one of our last kits that actually had the stars still on it.
I believe that's right. Yeah. How do we feel about how it looked? Looked fine. I don't think it looked as good as I wanted it to on the field, but also that camera quality from ESPN wasn't great. So maybe it'll look better in the future. But
Edgar, do you have the last white kit?
The 2021 one?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm interested in if you can compare like the gold. So I kind of feel like this gold is like duller, like it's not as shiny as that other one.
that's how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, this one's like a little bit closer to copper, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I felt that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think though overall? Did it match the expectation, Edgar? You like it?
I do. It was good investment.
Nice.
Did you get the player version or the fan version?
Now I got the fan version.
I've yet to put mine on, but I got mine. But it feels really nice. I got the player version that you guys recommended, and but I still I think I'm with you, Alfred. I still like the other one. It's a much brighter gold, but this one's also really nice. I could do without a lot of the gray in there, but I still, I'm okay with it.
That's what I was gonna say. It doesn't look as bad. The gray is not as apparent, at least on the
Right.
players it didn't the other night. So that made me happy.
Yeah.
The jacket looks cool. I don't know why the jacket's available here. Like people can buy it here, but the jacket is not available at Tigre Tienda yet. So
The white jacket.
yeah, you can get it on World Soccer Shop
In the
Shameless
white
plug.
pants.
and the white pants
I'm
and the
still
polo.
I'm still waiting on them to release the yellow Adidas hoodie on the US website.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't know why they haven't done that.
I
yet.
didn't
Well,
see
they
it.
released it on Tigre Tienda. As soon as they released like some sizes again, I snatched it. It's
Okay,
beautiful.
hold on. I'm sorry. I have to interrupt. Woodsy just dropped a super incredibly spicy hot take. I'm not even going to say it because it's going to make me mad. Here you go. Read it. If you're listening on
Oh my God.
podcasts, come look at it on YouTube later because, bruh,
Okay, Woodsy. No,
it's
Blue
tradition,
stripes.
bro.
That's how we win championships.
Exactly.
we needed to say Tigres for it to win for us to win
That
championships.
is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Worst take ever, Woodsy.
The last time we had no blue stripe, that was what during the Tavan, the Florian years.
Florian Toban.
Yeah.
That kid was awful with the claw.
Yeah,
bit.
also 2020, 2021.
Ugh, gross.
right.
One of the most disappointing kits we've had.
Since the 60s. I mean, sure, I understand, but
What anybody got any other vault moments? Anything you come across, Alfred, recently?
I had run across one. I forgot to save it. I'm gonna see if I can find it again and maybe share it next week.
Edgar, don't you have another one here in the doc?
Yeah, this one was also stolen from the Tigres page, but January 12th, 2022, Angulo and Cordova debut with Tigres in the season opener at Torreon against Santos.
With the other ugly jersey that we got with the 3 random blue stripes, if I'm not mistaken. At the bottom that says Tigres in like dark blue, navy blue, almost navy blue. You guys remember that jersey?
I don't remember which one.
It's the one that has
The baby blue? Yeah.
the navy blue 3 stripes of the tiger, the claw
Oh, yeah.
on the bottom.
Yeah, I like that one. Wait, are we talking about the navy blue one with yellow stripes?
It says Tigres at the front.
No,
and
it's
then
baby blue.
navy blue.
No, he's saying navy, not baby.
Nah, I'm tripping.
Navy,
What?
navy. It's the one that Florian scores the goal from 3/4 of the field jersey.
I'm gonna have
That's
to go
easy
back
for-
and look for it.
Yeah. But good call. Good down memory lane. I don't think I've come across a lot of good from the vault moments recently. I think if anything, they've been more fabricated. No, not that one. There's another one that he debuted. It's the home jersey for that year. That's the one that
It's
they
the
wore.
navy blue.
The one we were just talking about. This one.
That was
That's the one
ugly
we're
one.
talking
That one. Yeah. That
Yeah,
one.
that's what we were talking about. Yeah, that
Yeah.
kid is awful. That's like one of the worst home kits ever.
I was gonna say, what is the number I think that you guys will fall on as far as the Liguilla?
For
What do we
where
think?
place?
Yeah, where we place in the standings?
Third.
3rd, 5th?
Hey.
Yeah, I asked this because I was saying that a lot of the from the vault moments that I came across were like fabricated. They weren't real like actual dates to look back on. They were just moments of people like putting together videos of good times, photos of like remembering how good signings that we used to get, and I was like, oh, those
When
are
you say
all
they weren't real, I thought you were talking about AI. Like,
no, dude, they were just fabricated like from the vault moment. So that's why I asked where we'll end up because I don't think people are too excited about this season. So I got us coming in at 5th in the Liguilla. So self-fabricated from the vault moments. But anyways, good pod, guys. Good to touch base again and share our unsolicited takes online and with you guys as well. It was a fun episode. Excited, obviously, to have soccer back and watch Tigres, but like I said, I'm not going to find too many things to complain this season. I'm keeping my expectations low and enjoying the ride, and hopefully all you guys do the same. Don't get caught in false expectations, even if we go on a highly winning streak. Understand that until we get a good amount of additions to the squad, and I think as the rest of the league has gotten better, I think it's going to be a couple of seasons of possible adjustment into, being a middle tier team. No, I cannot play in the midfield. I have a torn left ACL. I'm out.
Oh,
me
brutal.
chingué la rodilla.
Yeah, torn left ACL since 2000. and 12, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, yo,
We,
yo, it's right.
How many games are we going to this season? Like individually. Or what's our goal?
I'd like to go to 5 games.
Okay.
That's the target. If you count the summer for Leagues Cup, maybe 6 to 7.
I'm shooting for 3 during the league, and then we'll see what happens with Conca.
Depending how far we get in Conca, I'm gonna try to be at all the games they're in the States.
Yeah, that'd be nice to go like somewhere where we haven't been. I would like
I think we're
Nashville.
hoping on what, Cincinnati?
Cincinnati next round
Cincinnati-
probably if we win.
Cincinnati would be great. Then we can, see some of our friends who watch us online potentially meet up there, like Mark
Yep.
out in Illinois,
Shout out
Jorge
Mark.
possibly in Chicago. So there's a lot of that's
Wait,
great.
read that one, Dennis.
Woodsy said, "Damn, Arnoldo, bro's knee be looking like Pauno's big game record. That's incredible."
That's golden. That's golden.
Oh man, I'm gonna try to go to the Clásico this year. I'm determined to go to the Clásico this year,
Okay.
and I'm
Let's,
bringing one of my gringos with me. Not for the Clásico, but for another game. That's hopefully one of my 3. So
All right. Well, let's like I said, low expectations, hopefully high positive results of high reward. So fellas, it was a pleasure. Everybody who tuned in, welcome to the new year with the LaU Times podcast. Hopefully we're able to do this consistently like we kept up for the majority of the time of all 2024. If I'm not able to host, your boy Dennis will be able to host, and hopefully one of these other guys, if neither of us can make it. But ultimately, thanks for listening, and we wish you guys an exceptional year in your personal growth and as well as your career and success and family. And hope you guys have an amazing year of 2025.
I think we should do a vote as to if you and I can ever host an episode, like who should be the host between Edgar, Alfred, and Lou.
I think Edgar, by definition, would have to because he's the moderator of the content.
Or we could see if we can bring back Sean from the Shadow Realm.
Yeah, that'd be great too. And anybody else? Invitations open. The mic is open. The mic is open all of 2025 for people to come on the LaU Times podcast and talk about Tigres. Let's see if we get more new guests this upcoming season and year into the podcast. Fellas, like I said, pleasure. See you guys next week, and hopefully we get Lou back and his amazing knowledge of Tigres and soccer in itself. And everybody, like I said, thank you. Catch you guys next time.
Ciao for now. Follow us on all the social medias. Bye-bye.